Okay, warm welcome to the Influencer Marketing Roundtable. For those of you that don't know who I am an influencer marketing specialist. I have my own podcast, so do check it out, Influence Global Podcast, now in our third season. So we've interviewed some really cool people from all around the world. I'm also an author on influencer marketing strategy. And I also speak at events, but more importantly, I also work with business owners on a one-to-one basis to help them develop their thought leadership. And the way I do that is through my influencer marketing program. I'm not going to go through this in a huge amount of detail, but enough to say that what I'm trying to do is to help business owners generate more revenue, charge higher prices, get more customers coming to them, and content consumed by a wider audience. And that is all about developing a thought leadership program. You can see how I do that on the right hand side. If anybody's interested in talking about that in more detail, then do drop me a line on Gordon@GordonGlenister.com. So as I say, I'm not going to go through a huge amount of things here, but I just want to perhaps create some discussion topics, which is all about stimulating conversation for this session today about creating inspiring video content. I've got some great creators already with us today. So a few things to think about are about making sure that you've really thought about the type of video that you're going to create, and that's about creating a plan effectively, or what we would often call a storyboard. Think about the location that you're at and the background, the right type of cameras, and of course lighting, to make sure that you're coming off in the best possible way. There'll be an interesting discussion from all of you, I'm sure, about the length of videos today, whether or not short form is working better than longer form. Of course, it depends. There's all sorts of different types of video format, and we'll talk about that in a moment. You need to make sure that you edit well. I know we've got some editors on the in the session, and making sure that you're using the right tags and descriptors. A lot of said to be talking about animation. Animation is increasingly been very impressive when it comes to video, and whether or not, so in other words, it doesn't have to be. And sometimes people think about video, they think, well, do I have to be in it? Well, you don't necessarily, but it's about consideration of those things. And in terms of the style of video, you need to think about the hook, what's going to drive people in, what we often call the thumbnail. What should the thumbnail look like? Making sure that you've got a proper structure, the audio, and also the right type of platform that you're going to promote this on. So here are a few things to think about in terms of format. Maybe you do a Q&A. I do quite a lot of these types of things. There's a lot of interest around what behind the scenes. People love to see this authentic, raw content more and more, not overly photoshopped, but overly crafted. There's opportunities for you to promote your product through video explainers and demos. They can be very popular. The algorithms, of course, love live videos as well, because it really is about showing your authentic self. You might have a new product idea, but you might use videos to promote an upcoming event, so that might be a shorter type of video. And then, of course, user-generated contents are very, very popular, so we're encouraging your customers to create videos as well. You can use videos in giveaways and contests rather, and for announcements or big reveals. For example, in the gaming world, they'll often use videos to promote a new game that's being launched. In fact, I did a podcast interview with EA Games, and 250,000 people tuned into the reveal. That just shows you how popular that was. Then there's event videos, breaking news, how-to videos, all that sort of stuff. I don't know if you know this particular video. It's famous for, I think it's got about like 879 million views. and it's 13 years old now. Actually, it's called Charlie Bit My Finger. I think it was sold recently for like millions. But they actually then a few years later created a new video when the boys were older, and that too got 6 million views. So anyway, there's a few things to whet the appetite. I thought it would be really nice for us all to introduce ourselves now. But more importantly, let's start off with Jack, and I'm going to be speaking with Jack in the first instance about his journey, and then interact. So, Jack, do you want to just introduce yourself to start with, and how and tell us a little bit about what you do?
Absolutely, thanks, Gordon. So yes, my name is Jack Ravel. I'm a coach. I work with people mostly on the confidence side of things, and I have a side sort of avenue to that, which is called live and clicking, which is essentially helping people show up more confidently online so they can really become somebody in their space. The live and clicking comes from essentially, I've got a 14-year background in the modeling industry, acting, presenting, that sort of thing, and I've had multiple times where someone's like, go, right, lights on, let's just go. And you've just got to do your thing. And social media and the world that we live in is very much like that these days. You know, you've just got to show up and you've got to do your best. And so many people, when the pandemic hit, just got completely crippled by that. They were like, I have to do what now? And they have to show up in front of this. And how does this work? And how do I mute myself? And it's just become this whole thing. So I created a business that essentially just helps people understand the fundamentals of what being on camera is all about. Gordon, you've lifted some amazing points there, and essentially just being super confident in knowing what you have to do so that stuff's not to worry about, and you can just be yourself. You know, I'm a big fan of like authentic connection and magnetic prospecting. And I think that, you know, one of my favorite quotes in the world is that, you know, your uniqueness is your competitive advantage. So every single person in this call and on the planet has their own unique way of doing things, and that is your competitive advantage, not your hindrance. So if you can show up and just be you and get all the other crap, you know, the lighting and the cameras and the background and all that, if you get all that sorted, you can just show up and be you. And that's what I kind of help promote, and that's what I help people do. And so their personal branding comes into it, and, you know, marketing themselves in the right way. So that's what I do as a sideline. I have one-on-one clients that I work with on, you know, creating businesses and you know, doing that sort of stuff as well, which kind of feeds into that as part of it. But yeah, Gordon and I connected a couple of months ago now, after being in a similar sort of circle, and we've had some good chats and shared some insights with each other. So I appreciate being here. Thank you for hosting me.
Oh, thank you, Jack. I'm going to come back to you in a few minutes. If we can just sort of go around the room, and just if you can just introduce yourself and where you're from, that would be great. And just tell us that if you've been involved in creating video and what your experience has been, that would be great. Can I start with Pravesh?
Yes, hi Gordon. Thank you so much for the invitation and giving the opportunity to speak as well. Hi everyone. Great meeting you. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. So I am an entrepreneur and investor. I work with multiple startups to helping them get to the next level, that is raising funds. But one part of it is also focused towards building the media or the brand they are doing it. So building the brand positioning is one of our focused services as well. The platform is called thebrandglobal.com. So we actually create a publishing story about them, also create videos about what they do, what do they sell, and how they basically reach out to audience, as well as we are coming up with an OTT platform that is powered by blockchain, so that a lot of investors can get connected to brands as well as brand creators. Because many startups, or you can say 90 to 93% of the startups actually fail because the word of mouth is not strong enough, and most of the time they are working on their own. So these voices don't actually reach to people, so people cannot buy even if they have a great product. And that is where our focus is, how to bring creators, influencers together so that they can build this reputation and brand reputation and create that for the brand or startups. That's something our focus is, and we are building this product. So thank you so much, Gordon. I just met Gordon over LinkedIn and saw his work, so I was amazed. I was like, I should definitely connect to him through this platform, and then we can actually have a discussion on how we can collaborate. Right. So thank you so much, Gordon.
Thank you, Pravesh. That's super. James all the way from Brazil, has managed to get up super early to be part of this. So tell us about what you're doing, which is amazing.
Bom dia, or good morning. How is everyone? So we're in Brazil, and I'm the founder of Watch.io. We're a new video sharing platform that basically gives Gen Z fans a super fan of relationship with their favorite creators. We're starting in Brazil, the emerging markets, because we see them as underrepresented, underserved, and we give them opportunities that creators would have in the UK or in America, and then we're expanding in South America. So that's a little bit about me. But I've never really been on camera or filmed, like in videos, apart from just being in friends' videos. And I met Gordon, what is it now, Gordon? 18 months we've known each other, something like that?
It is, yeah.
It's been a while. I missed a night out with Gordon, but when I'm back, we'll do one for sure.
Yeah, a night out with me is epic, I can guarantee you that. So as indeed Jack, who's in the middle, witnessed last night. We went and did an impromptu quiz night last night.
We did.
And Jack is
lost.
We say lost. I mean, fundamentally, we came a very good third, I think it was. And given there was only two of us, we did well. Jack, it's the first time as Jack's come on Zoom. Jack is quite an inspirational guy, actually, and edits videos for some amazing YouTubers. So, but tell everybody a little bit more about what you do, Jack.
So I'm Jack. My job is a YouTube editor, or not just YouTube, any platform really. But I work a lot on YouTube, content managing, content strategizing, and editing the videos. Really helping clients through the whole content creation process. I think it's too easy as a client to either focus on getting an editor, spend your entire budget on an editor who then doesn't know how to promote your content or market it. I'm sure we'll get into it later, but I think there's some huge things that are missed. And I was basically fed up of clients spending hundreds, thousands of pounds on videos for them to then cheap out on the marketing stage or cheap out on the early stages, and basically, in a sense, ruin all the good work that not just I've done, but all other editors do. So yeah, that's what I do, and hopefully I can add some good points today that you possibly haven't heard from before, because I think there's a lot of misconceptions and huge mistakes that people make on YouTube, whether they're brand new or whether they're 10-year veterans. There's mistakes that everybody makes.
Yeah, thank you, Jack. Gavin's what I love about Gavin is Gavin hosted a session really recently on how to use video very effectively in his business. And what you don't know about Gavin is Gavin's a property developer. So you'd think if you literally focused on that, but he creates some amazing videos. And I think one of your TikToks, Gavin, went like viral, didn't it? So tell us briefly about you.
So hi, Gordon. Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name's Gavin Gallagher, and I'm a property investor and developer. And I just kind of been busy working away as a developer for the last 20 years. And last year, during the lockdown, I started a podcast, and I started kind of getting into social media and stuff, kind of as a lockdown project. And the podcast has kind of taken off. And then I got my daughters. I have 5 kids, and my daughters were on TikTok. So I went on TikTok for a kind of a joke to kind of have some fun with them. And I posted a video just before bed, went to bed, woke up the next morning, and I had 250 LinkedIn requests. And I was thinking, what the hell has happened? How do I have this overnight? And when I went into my TikTok video, my video that I posted, like without even thinking about it, has 53,000 views overnight. And just crazy. And like 2,000 followers in the overnight on TikTok. And I just was like, what's happened here? And it's gone on now to become, I think I have like 4,000 or something like that. But I just go on a building site every week, and I record, my construction project that I'm working on at the moment. And then I started doing it in YouTube. I started giving it slightly longer content, sort of 8 to 10 minutes. And that's becoming kind of popular. So it's been interesting sort of journey watching it all kind of come together. And yeah, that's my story.
Great, thanks, Gavin. John, nice to see you, John, from Shop Logic. tell us about you.
Hi, Gordon. Good morning. Hi, everybody. My name is Joe Martinez, and I am the CEO and founder of one events technology company called ShockLogic. I am passionate about the development of human potential, so I love to see my team grow. And at ShockLogic, what we do is that we simplify the lives of event organizers. So we produce technology and solutions to simplify their lives, and with a pretty tight group. I'm one of these lucky people that love their jobs and can get up early enough in the morning to go to work. And I'm literally in love with each one of the members of my team. So it's a joy to come to work and work with my team and my people.
Thank you, John. That's great. Anthony, good to see you, buddy.
All right, sorry I was late joining the party, but it seems like you got a nice group of people here, Gordon.
Always have a nice group of people, always around me. No question about that. I deliberately filter the bad ones out.
Yeah.
Gordon, tell us what you do.
Well, I wear many hats. Excuse the pun, because I'm wearing a hat. But I'm president of the Poole Chamber of Commerce, so I help local businesses. I'm currently doing some development with a guy in terms of doing a memorial thing, which is a memorial video reel for people who've passed or animals who've passed. Currently looking crowdfunding, investment and stuff like that. I also do business development, so I help do turnaround and try and turn businesses around that are either failing or struggling or looking for investment and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a few hats.
Good to see you here. Anyway.
I've also just won a recent competition to get a £14,000 makeover, believe it or not.
Have you?
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Well done. Good for you.
6 grand's worth of dental treatment, 5 grand's worth of facial treatment. And my girlfriend says that I need 40 grand, not 14.
Oh dear. Well done.
I know, right?
I'm really pleased. That sounds excellent. Gaz, good to see you. Lovely.
Good morning. Nice to see lovely new faces. So everybody, my name is Ghazala Jabeen. My friends call me Gaz. I don't answer to Gaza. I'm based in North Wales. I go by 2 titles, Ghazala Jabeen, the Bollywood Queen, and Ghazala Jabeen, the #1 marketing machine. I'm actually a #1 best-selling author, turned my book into #1 with less than 12 hours, which is called Loved, Lived, Lost, a real story from tragedy to putting hope and faith out there for those losing a loved one. I'm also featured as one of the most 100 successful women around the world as well. And that was kind of like, they say, keep it up to date. And up to date was this year that I got that award. I actually, I look at businesses where people have got fantastic offerings, whether it's a service or a product, but sometimes people fail to present powerfully, confidently, and professionally. So I bring 30 years of business growth and experience in the sales and marketing area. And I help people to present like a pro and sell like a superstar, because when you get that right, it's automatic, and automation is what we love in today's world. And of course, I'm very high on the artificial intelligence and digital marketing space. I'm glad to be here to learn as well from everybody else. And that's me, Gordon. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Gaz. That's lovely. Marsha, presumably you can hear us. Do you want to just say who you are? Where are you from?
Sure. I'm Marsha. I'm from the UK, London. I am I'm abstract artist. I'm also a poet with the Jewish Poetry Society. Basically, that's me for now.
Okay, great.
Basically starting up. I'm just a newbie.
Lovely, no problem. Nice to see you. I know Fun is driving, so she probably can't start. She's just probably easier to hear. So it's nice to see you here. And Jem, do you want to say hello to everybody?
Hi everyone. I would like to say thank you to Gordon for inviting me here. So I would like to introduce myself. I'm Jemalyn Habon from the Philippines. I'm a social media manager and a brand strategist and content creator in one. And my mission is to help female entrepreneurs increase brand awareness by managing their social media accounts and strategic branding designs. And my goal is to help business owners, coaches to achieve their next level using effective social media management and organic strategic marketing. And that's only for now. And thank you.
Thank you, Gemma. Thank you. Jack, let's go back to you. What was the turning point then in terms of you really making a difference to the way you present your videos? What was the real, what was that sort of moment that's changed? You thought, I've got to do something different here.
It's a good question. Look, if I'm honest with you, when the pandemic hit home and everyone was forced into their houses and there was no normal life anymore, everyone had to pivot, everyone had to do something different. And my version of that was basically to start sharing. You know, I've been a coach for about 4 years now, and I had a bunch of knowledge and a bunch of expertise that I was going to share with people, but I wasn't able to sort of do it the normal way, which was in person. So I basically started recording myself talking about specific things. Now, what I did was I put out polls on Instagram and asked friends, like, what are you struggling with? Most people were like, boredom, or like mental health, or procrastination, or, you know, like trying to figure out what they're doing with their life. So what I did was I just decided to make a video a day for 30 days. And I didn't have any plan. I didn't have any structure. I didn't have any idea of where I was going to go. I just made a video. Some were 2 minutes, some were 7 minutes, some were 10 minutes. But I would just put them on Instagram every single day. And you can go back to my Instagram and check them out if you like. They're pretty awful now. I look back on them, but you know, you got to grow somewhere. And what happened from that was I just started building up this really authentic connection between me and my audience. And I had people message me and say like, oh my God, that thing you just spoke about, I had that yesterday and I was so stressed about it. And I'm so glad that you spoke about it, because I now know that I'm not the only one, A, but also know how to deal with it, B. And I'm a very pragmatic person. I'm very much about, you know, if I give some advice, it's like it has to have some action attached to it, because otherwise it's just pointless. It's just another bit of information that could just go anywhere. So I kind of used my videos to kind of just help people with stuff that was going on. I love to read, so I was kind of quoting lots of books and lots of things like that. But what happened was, off the back of that, was I started to get clients. I started to get people come to me. I started to realize that I actually had some worth, that people were needing more from that. So that was one thing that came from it. But one of the best things, and the thing I've told this story quite a few times, is opportunity that comes from showing up authentically online. Now, what happened was, I got this message from this lady called Kate, right? And Kate was following me, apparently. She had no picture. She had about 5 followers herself. She was following about 20 other people. Looked a bit like a bot, but she turns out to be one of the head recruiters for Peloton, you know, the US cycling brand. So she messaged me. She was like, look, we've been following you for a while, which was also a bit scary because I had no idea who she was. And we'd like to talk to you about potentially coming on board as one of our fitness trainers for our online platform that we're launching. And I said, that's amazing. Thank you so much. But you know that I'm literally, I can run and pick up a dumbbell. I wouldn't class myself as a cyclist. And she said, no, it's fine. We know we can teach you that. We can train you up in that. What we love about you is the way that you show up and talk to your audience, and the way that you show up on camera. And that's what we want for our online space. So anyway, I went through 3 rounds of interviews and a couple of trials, and I got down to the final 6. Unfortunately, they didn't choose me because it wasn't right for them at the time. But the point of the story is that the opportunity came out of absolutely nowhere for me, just showing up as my authentic self. Now, that's what then led into me doing live and clicking and having the business that I now have, and kind of helping other people do that same thing. But what I found most powerful about it was that there was no blueprint to making video, right? There's no blueprint, right? And there is no one size fits all. You know, Jack Davies does YouTube. I think that's awesome. I'd love to get into YouTube, but it's definitely a different kettle of fish to someone like Gavin who's doing TikTok, right? It's 2 completely different ends of the scale. So what I've always said to people about video is that so long as you know what you're saying and that what you're saying is valuable to someone on the other end of what's watching it, you can't go far wrong. Okay. Now, in my opinion, you're better off making 20 short videos and trialing that if you're just starting out in the video world. So just make 20-second videos about anything, right? Pick 20 things you can talk about for more than a minute, make a video on them, and then look at your analytics, look at the ones that do the best, and then make a 2-minute video on the top 3. And then on the top 1, make a 5-minute video and stick that on YouTube or stick that on Vimeo or wherever. But just go on the data. I think a lot of people think that by making a video, you have to be, you know, it has to be 2 hours long or 20 minutes long, and it's got to have great production and it's got to have different transitions. No, I genuinely started making my videos with this. That's it. This and a tripod that I bought for £10 on Amazon. It looks like this, right? And as I said, if you go back through my Instagram, check out the older videos. Even the ones I've done recently are in the same boat. But what I found is that people just like that authentic touch. I think if you try and make something too, I suppose, produced, people start to think like, okay, is that them doing that, or is that a company they've paid however much for to do that? And I think that if you're a company who wants to really promote your personal brand and you are the face of your brand, which is kind of what underlines the whole of what I do, is, you know, becoming the face of your brand, being out there, then you have to just do what you have to work with what you've got and do what works for you, and don't follow the trends. Don't dance around your living room looking like an idiot if you don't want to. If that's what works for you, Gavin, I'm sure that's I'm sure that works for you. But no, if it's not what you want to do and you're not pointing at boxes and all that sort of stuff like you do on Reels, that's fine. Don't do that. Do what works for you, and you will find a following in that. So yeah, that's where my journey started, and it's kind of organically grown from there. Another point I'd like to make is just about kind of taking time out when it's necessary. If you go to my socials, you'll notice I've been a bit quiet recently. It's because I've just been transitioning through I've started a contract that has been taking up a lot of my time. So I haven't been on socials, but I also have had a mental block with myself, thinking I should be on, because I am this person who promotes being on video and promotes being on social media. And it's been a hard one, because from where I'm sitting, it's like a battle, but from where everyone else is sitting, they're like, oh no, I haven't really noticed. And it's this massive sort of paradox between like what you think people think of you and what you think of what other people think of you. And so just want to put it out there and say, no one cares what you're doing at all, unless that it's directly affecting you. So just do what works for you, and come on and come off whenever you please. And it will be better for your mental health long-term than it will be just trying to show up for the sake of showing up.
That's a really good point. I mean, I think sometimes people, when you think about video, their immediate reaction is when the red light comes on,
yeah,
I've got to perform like a performing monkey, and it's not the case, is it? And I think your advice and tips there are really sound. Is look, just whatever you do in life, you are always going to get some people that don't like it, but there'll be probably a small percentage of. And from what I've learned in the time that I've been around this industry, what works really well in the influencer space is when people can resonate with you and see, like what you just said a minute ago, exactly what I was thinking the other day. So yeah, Gavin, I mean, interestingly, you what you were talking about that TikTok video. What was it that caused all that reaction? What did you do?
Well, it's funny. I've actually figured out the way the algorithm works in TikTok, and it's interesting because you've got to be careful that the content you're putting out is something that people are interested in following, as opposed to it being a viral video. So I was experimenting with different things after my kind of overnight hit, and the overnight hit, all it was it wasn't even intentional. I went and I joined a group, like a Facebook group type thing. And the guy who runs the group said, Gavin, introduce yourself to the group. So I recorded a video and I just said, hi, I'm Gavin. I do this and I do that. And it was like, 30 seconds long, something like that, maybe 45 seconds long. And later on, when I was watching back the video, I kind of said, oh, you know what I'll do? I'll actually upload that to TikTok and see what happens. Okay, so it's not in the format that TikTok, like all this dancing and sort of nonsense that you see. It was just me being myself. And that went this kind of viral overnight thing. And what it was controversy. If you introduce something that I suppose polarizes your audience. So I had a combination when I like the stuff that I've done in my sort of career. Some of it would if it you know, to the right audience, it impresses a lot of people. I've built big buildings and I've got big tenants like Google and stuff like that paying me rent. That is, to some people, like, whoa, that's really impressive. And so there was guys there sort of saying, wow, you know, this is so inspiring, and this kind of comment. But then on the opposite side, I had guys saying, what an asshole, who the hell do you think you are? Like, you know, and it was this complete black and white response to the video. And so some people absolutely hated me, and other people were kind of like saying, Gavin, how can I, you know, can I meet you? Can you give me a job? All that. I had like about 40 people looking for a job from that post. And then I had probably the same number of people calling me a big head and all this kind of stuff. So that was really interesting. And so I kind of figured, okay, so it's controversy. Now then I went and I was experimenting. I actually posted a video. I had my drone with me in Barcelona, and I flew the drone over this sort of busy road. And I decided I'd upload that footage. And that video went even more viral. That's had 530,000 views at this stage. And I can remember it going absolutely crazy. And I don't think I got more than maybe 20 followers off the back of that. So it's funny how it goes completely viral, but because it wasn't regular content, nobody was interested in following me. Whereas I got 2,000 people off of that one video of me talking and explaining what I did. And so it's very interesting how you can go and chase the wrong thing. You know, you go and chase virality, and it does nothing for you. And so then what I did is I noticed there's a guy here in Ireland that does he's basically refurbishing his grandfather's old cottage, and he has like hundreds of thousands of followers, and I've been following. I'm one of them, and I just love the way he does it. And I was thinking, God, that's interesting now. So it's just following the progress of a refurbishment of a house. And I just started around the same time. I just started one of our sites, and we're building 54 houses in a development here in Dublin. And I kind of said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go every single week. I'm going to go to site for the next 18 months, and I'm going to do just progress shots of the entire thing. And it will finish with me standing inside one of the houses when it's completely refurbished and decorated, and it'll be the show house. Yeah. And I think that'll be an interesting project, from literally a hole in the ground. I had the guys like, you know, digging with the trench for the sewer to be put down. So it's literally from the very, very beginning. And that has really gone very, very well. Like, I've some of the, not massive numbers, like, but 10 to kind of 15,000 views in the space of sort of 2 to 3 days. So it isn't like massively viral, but it is definitely attracting a big crowd. And again, it is controversy. The biggest ones that are working are the ones where I accidentally sort of give the wrong description. So somebody asked a question like, why are concrete blocks colored differently? And it's down to the density of the block, you know. And I put in that it's, oh, well, one is 7.5 Newton meters and the other is 15 Newton meters. And of course, all these kind of like some technical kind of minded people are coming in and say, no, it's not, it's newtons per millimeter squared, you idiot, and all this. And I mean, the comments were all, this guy hasn't a clue, and all like hundreds of comments. And it was like, people just can't help but like get in my face. And I just love it because like, it's water off a duck's back. I could not care less what they say, but the stuff goes viral as a result of it. So I started thinking, can I actually manufacture this where I actually purposely say the wrong thing? So I've done that a few times, and it has had that same effect. So, but you have to, have a thick skin, because the comments can get pretty, like, I've actually commented on the nasty comments, and I've come in and said, you guys are trying to hurt my feelings. And it has like the comment saying, this guy should be a politician, he's such a bullshitter and stuff. And I'd actually like comment on that and say, well, you know, somebody's got to check that you guys are actually listening, you know, and I do this kind of thing. So proving that
there's a lot to be said for like hand in your face, you know, that there's so much content there that's bland and just so what, and we just scroll through it. I mean, Piers Morgan was classic for polarization of content. Great points, Gavin. I want to bring in Jack now, because obviously you've worked quite a lot with big gamers and KSI and Logan Paul. You know, so, I'm just saying work with them, but I'm just saying in your space, they've thrived on controversy, haven't they? And it's an interesting observation.
So I thought if you just wanted me to brush on kind of what the other two have said, I think it's great of what Jack says. It's not to diminish anyone, but it's very easy to make video content. I don't think anybody here should be sitting there with a block, because there's people like me working with some of the big creators with high budgets and fancy cameras. That shouldn't stop you, because at the end of the day, if any one of my clients picked up a phone, I'd lose my job, because they'd still get people watching them, because it's about them at the end of the day. So it's not hard to make video content. What's hard is to make really good video content. And I think that the best way I'd describe an important way to make good content is just have reasoning behind everything you're doing. I think you showed up that slide about lighting and storyboards. It's great to do all of those. But as long as you know why you're doing those, and as long as you have a reason for them, there's no point doing a storyboard if you don't have a reason behind it. One of the things I always say is when making thumbnails, when editing, it's very easy to focus on reasoning at the editing stage. Why am I making a cut here? Why am I putting this music in? That's what you need to do. I'm not saying overthink when you're making a video, but if you do overthink and you spend 3 hours deciding whether to use red, blue, or green text, you'll have a better thumbnail for it. And even if you don't, even if you miscalculate what you're doing, at least you know not what to do now. I think it's great what Jack says about uploading 20 videos, but make sure in those videos you have a different aim with each one of them. So if you upload 20 random videos and 5 do well and 15 don't, you need to know why those 5 did well. If you just uploaded them randomly without thinking about any reasoning, okay, I want this one to make them feel sad, I want this one to make them feel happy. You need to know what your initial aim was, so you know what's working on your viewer. And like what Gavin said, it's great to see people on TikTok uploading, blowing up overnight, because it's, for so long, I think TikTok's the most significant content creation event since it started. People for so long struggled. Before, we were seeing like 5-6 years was quick to a million subscribers on something like YouTube. Now, like 6 million in a year is quite common. So it's great to see what he's doing there. But in the TikTok space and in the YouTube space, like I said, reasoning is really important. And I have clients who have 15 million subscribers, 4 billion views, but it's still difficult for them to make good content on their own platform. It's very easy to dominate one area, but then in order to grow, suddenly you've got all these force fields pushing back in. So it's just really important to understand what you're doing, have reasoning behind what you're doing, and then you'll start to make good video content. Don't just do what other people are doing for the sake of it. There was this obnoxious trend of just 1-2 minute intros on an 8-minute video. Well, I promise no one cares, and it works against you. It does, because if you have an 8-minute video and you have a 2-minute intro, people are going to skip through that, and then suddenly they've only got 6 minutes of your 8-minute video to watch. And Gavin says he's kind of beating the algorithm, and people figure out things that work. It's important to know why that's working. Gavin's videos won't be successful because people love controversy. They're successful because the engagement is through the roof. If so, the best thing to do when someone makes a hate comment is reply straight back to them on a different account, because then you've got 2 comments. And engagement goes through the roof. We've done it to my friends' TikToks all the time. You blow them up to 100, 200,000 views by just commenting on it, sharing it around your phone and your Snapchat group. We have a group of 6 Snapchat friends, and we can just keep sharing the same TikTok to that group. TikTok doesn't know where you're sharing it. Once it goes off their platform, they have no idea. So suddenly you see a video that's just been posted and it's got 50 comments and 200 shares, and TikTok starts sending it spiral, and you wake up in the morning, it has 50, 100,000 views. Now, ideally, you don't want to do that, because most of those views have just come, and most of those shares have come from me and my friends. So that's a bad idea, because you want to make content that people like naturally. So it's great to see Gavin went to bed, wakes up, 50,000 views. It's because people genuinely like that. But you need to understand why this algorithm is working. And it's very easy to beat it kind of like in a non-natural way. But when you can start beating it in the non-natural way, it's very easy to understand how it works naturally, and it will help you positively.
Yeah, no, thank you, Jack. James, I just want to bring you in here because obviously you work with some significantly big YouTube creators in South America. And one thing I think that always intrigues me, and we've sort of touched on it a little bit, is these guys at the top of the food chain, they know their numbers, don't they? They absolutely are all over the analytics because they know what type of content works. What's been your sort of experience of working with these guys, and you've been around them? What makes them different in the way that they create content?
It's a great question, Gordon. I think they're just true professionals. Like when people think of creators or influencers in their field, they think of these kids in their bedrooms. So when we first started 3 years ago, like literally we went traveling around the world. So we went to Los Angeles, VidCon, the Shorty Awards in New York, down in Brazil. We just kind of met big creators no matter where they were, and they were all struggling with the same issue of just being treated like these kids in their bedrooms, because effectively no one really knew what they were. But the true professionals and the guys that just stayed at the top, like people like the Logan Pauls, the KSIs, the Emma Chamberlains, like the names you'd be familiar with. But again, they have them in Brazil, and they probably have them with some of the bigger engagement. They are just professionals. They have great teams. They truly know what they're doing. They have purpose, they have passion, their content is authentic. But in terms of the numbers, yeah, they're data analyst machines, because they understand what works, what doesn't work, what those numbers actually mean. So they study the game. It's just there's no different of, someone who's a master at jiu-jitsu studies it every day. Someone who's a master at maths does the same. The creators do exactly that. So I think that's why they're at the top, just because they have a deep knowledge and they really want to succeed, because they just do it continuously, and consistency is the key to success in the creative world.
Consistency, absolutely. Going back to Jack now, you probably would say the same, isn't it? When you were pushing out the original, that's Jack R, by the way. I was just gonna.
Yeah, it's awkward there, isn't it?
I'm just
the microphone.
It is all about consistency, isn't it? It's better to produce 1 minute videos, but do them regularly, so you're building a story. And I like what Gavin was saying there earlier, which is effectively almost like a start to finish, almost like trying to create episodal stuff that's like a journey. When you look at Netflix, for example, we're not viewing films as much, but we are loving episodes. And how many people are like binge watched? We have, isn't it? So can we bring that sort of storytelling to the fore?
First of all, I think that consistency is 100% key. I've recently read Stephen Bartlett's Happy Sexy Millionaire book, which if anyone hasn't read it yet, definitely get involved. It's a very lovely paradox of somebody who's created probably the most successful social media marketing company in the world and is actually telling everyone that social media isn't very good for you. So it's very interesting how he kind of compares the two. But one of the things he says in there about kind of consistency is the eighth wonder of the world, which is the compound effect, right? You putting a video out today may not get views like Gavin's did. It might, but it might not. But you putting out a video today and tomorrow and the next day, and for every day for say 30 days means that you're going to have 30 pieces of content more so than you did 30 days ago. Right now, the great thing about the internet is it doesn't go away. It stays there forever. And I'll tell you, I've got so many stories of people who have found me personally as a coach through my podcast that I've stopped now. I stopped it 5-6 months ago, who are still contacting me going, I heard this episode that you did with so-and-so who was on this show, and then I found you on his YouTube, and now I want to work with you. And it's like mind-blowing how people find you, but it's because the content's out there, right? And the difference is that, if you put stuff out there that isn't aligned with you, and what Jack said about just don't put out a scattergram of all the stuff that's interesting for you. Don't do that. Choose your pillars, right? 3, maybe 4 pillars of what you provide people, whether that's like, for me, it's about marketing, it's about coaching, it's about confidence. So those 3 things come into it, and I help people find whatever it is they need in their business to be able to, move forward in those directions. So someone might have a great business and great marketing, but they just haven't got the confidence to tell people about it. I work with them on that same thing, or vice versa. They've got all the confidence in the world, but no idea how to put it out there and how to put it into package it into a business. So it's about, my content reflects that. Whereas if I started talking about, I don't know, football, or I don't know, how to structure how to do something else, it would lose the interest of my audience, but also it would make from an outsider's point of view, make you look like you're just putting out content for the sake of putting out content. You're better off doing less, but better. You know, it's the essentialism quote, right? And putting out stuff that's quality over quantity. Because I've also found this is another interesting point. I came off Instagram for about 4.5 weeks recently, came back on, posted one story, and it got 18 times more views than any other story I've ever posted. I hadn't been on for 4.5 weeks. What's that about? You know what I mean? So the algorithm clearly favors stuff that's less frequent as well. So there's this whole people that like post every day and twice a day. And I'm like, if you got the time to do that, go nuts, right? But I don't have any time to do that because I've actually got a life. So yeah, I think that it's important to kind of do what works for you and just consistently do it. So yeah, I definitely agree with that, James.
Would you mind if I just added a little part to that, Gordon?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that is great, and consistency is so important. But I think that the biggest thing is that, like, although we say we beat the algorithm, and I'm in groups of editors with Logan Paul, Jake Paul, some of the titans of the game. There's a big group that basically kind of editors that it's almost like the underbelly, but still there is an element of luck and surprise, and that's what's so exciting about it. Like, there is no way to predict that story would get 18,000 times more views. If you did the same break, it probably would get 18 times less views, and you'd be like, what's going on? But I think one of the most important things is that none of us realize how cool some of the things we do is. See, for me, because I've been doing YouTube and that sort of thing for so long, I've become quite dissociated from the fact that 10 million subscribers is kind of crazy. And that's not from an egotistical point of view. If I hit 1 million views on a video now, it's not the same as when I did it for the first time. It's sort of almost, oh, it's only 1 million, it's not more. And the same way that Gavin, 54 houses is crazy to me. That's such a cool thing to understand. And curiosity kills people. It's, if you're scrolling through YouTube and you see a world that you haven't seen before, or scrolling through TikTok and you see a world you haven't seen before, it's very hard to shake that out of your head. It's incredibly hard. And it's really important for you to understand how cool what you're doing is, because people probably haven't seen it before. So if you can try and make consistent things on a world that people are foreign to, they become invested in that world. And I have no doubt that series that Gavin is going to do of property developing every week will be inherently successful. It's because it will kill people, and you won't want to watch it, but you want to see it. It's because people love knowledge, and seeing worlds that you haven't seen before is so important.
And I think that's a really good point, Jack. I think so often it's the only thing that's stopping us from doing this is us, isn't it? I mean, that's the bottom line. Is we've got so much more to offer sometimes than we think. We think, oh well, people know about that, I won't bother to tell them. I mean, I was at an awards night the other day, the other evening in London. Oh my god, so many influencers taking video footage of the food. And uploading it, but then I see the likes and the comments and all of that, so it's because that's what their audience like, you know. Gaz, I just want to bring you in there, because obviously you're all about encouraging women particularly to sort of show up and present online. What's your view about inspire? I mean, you've got a fantastically emotional story, which is, I mean, I'm not suggesting we talk about it in detail now, but it is a very, very powerful, evocative story of your past. How do you think you can talk to people, particularly when there's an emotional attachment to a personal story?
I think one of the most important thing is how you make people feel. People are drawn to it straight away.
Yeah.
And I also agree with videos, if they're coming from the heart, they're authentic. People like you for that alone, because you're actually putting your vulnerability, the real side of who you are, out there. So I do share it, but because of my personality is very much, there is a sadness attached to it, and there is the madness attached to it, and people like madness. So when I, for example, the Bollywood burnout bit, when I go and do some crazy Bollywood dance teaching in a school, and then I feel like that was like heavy going, and it was sweating, and then I go to the beach and I talk to a 90-year-old with walking a dog along there, and I'm saying, this, my mom said, you're not supposed to talk to strangers, but he seems a nice old boy, and he's walking his little dog, and he says, and the guy says to me, just for a minute, I thought there was a mermaid just come out of the ocean. And we get talking, and I did that video just because it was random, ad hoc, it was just something. And people then started to kind of get into this, who is this Bollywood girl? And Bollywood was very much the power of my media videos, because I was sharing my every little bit of crazy journey. How did I go from a clinically obese big mama Gaz to a little size 8'10" skinny, mama Gaz? And people like, how did she do it? What did she do? And then I was like, I don't want to get embarrassed. So they wanted to know the embarrassment. So 3 friends, 33 first audience, 30,000 strong audience, and to dance live with a multi-platinum selling artist, what just really hit the roof with the awards and the recognition and the money that I put towards community. So people like to see your real raw journey, but you know that people also get to know, oh my God, she had all this tragedy of losing somebody to cancer, but she still ran the classes that you wouldn't know any different. And that's where the inspiration, the value, and that makes people think, if she can do it with all that lot going on, and you can. But what I did want to ask very quickly to the expert people here on the video side, when you're doing a Facebook lives or live videos versus recorded 1 minute quick, snippets as well, or the promo videos, what was your take on live ones, like literally going out to the camera ad hoc as well, or preparing and doing that? Because I've done both, but I just want to know the feedback. So maybe I could ask both Jacks to have an input on there as well. So
I work with a lot of Twitch streamers. I'm not sure if you're aware of what Twitch is. Twitch is a live streaming platform, a lot for games, but also recently some of its biggest categories is called just chatting. It's people just sitting there talking to a camera about anything. And I think the thing that people don't understand is that just because you make a live video, it doesn't mean that that can't be a big video as well. Matt, who's one of my biggest YouTube clients, he records stuff on Twitch, so he does a live stream for 6 hours, and then I get sent that, and I can edit that down. So you can do a live, and you can do recorded content at the same time. The effects they have will be different for every person. So if you're releasing a product, or if you're talking about something new, both can be great. It's very easy to fall into the trap of, oh, live because it's kind of big reveal, you must see it now. But sometimes people are busy. Sometimes people can't make your live. It's not that they don't care about you or your story. It's that they're just busy at that time. So either's really fine, and there's no right or wrong answer. Lives can be great. You sort of just pick up a camera and just start speaking, and people love that. But people consume content differently. For example, someone who works in the editing world, like everything I watch, I criticize the editing, and it kills me, because if I watch a TV show and it's done poorly, I can't watch this show anymore. So it's personal for everybody else what they prefer. So in ideal world, do both, and you'll be successful. As long as you're making content, it's better than no content.
Yeah. Jack, do you want to just comment back at all?
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, great last sentence. Just as long as you're making content, that's fine. Look, Gaz, I've been a big fan of live video. I always have been, just because I present and that's done that for years. It's just my natural way of being. If I have my choice, I would do more lives than anything. A part of what I also did last year when I was doing all those videos was I did an Instagram live every single day. And it was basically an excuse just to talk to people, because we were in lockdown and I had no one else to speak to. But also it gave me an opportunity to connect and network, and give me an opportunity to leverage what I was doing as well. So there was a guy who I worked with a few years ago called Tom Poland. Tom Poland's all about using other people's networks to build your own, right? So what he would say is, reach out to people who you can speak to, who you can talk to, who you can share their knowledge through your network, right? Let's say, for example, you would come on my Instagram and we talk about what you do and you share it with you all. Then what I can do then is say, hey, look, thanks so much for coming on this. It was great. Would you mind, sharing this video or this post or this email with your list? And you're much more likely to say, yeah, of course, because I've given you the platform to do your thing on mine. So you're going to give me the opportunity to do it on yours. And I did that, and I grew my following quite a bit, and it grew the awareness of what I was doing quite a bit through that as well. Now, going live is, in my opinion, way more powerful than a video you've pre-recorded, because it's authentic. You can't screw up. You are who you are, right? There is no hiding behind any editing. There's no, oh, let's try that again. There's none of that. It is just raw. And I think that if you're somebody who is happy doing that, and you're somebody who is your personal brand, and you're someone who's like, hey guys, look, I'm just going to come on here and talk about how I'm feeling today, or this thing that happened to me, or like this project I saw, or this thing that's got happened, do that. And they can be 3 minutes, they can be 30 minutes. It doesn't matter. And I think that it's important to, you know, do that quite often with your audience, especially in Facebook groups. I think that's a really powerful way to kind of connect with your audience. But I use StreamYard quite a lot, and that's really powerful as well, because it goes across all 3, sometimes 4 platforms. I think Twitch is on there as well. But it's just a really powerful way to kind of just show your audience that you're a real person and not just someone behind a bunch of Canva images and email marketing tools. So that's my opinion on it anyway.
Awesome. We could go on for a lot longer, but we have finished, boys and girls. So I hope you have enjoyed your little hour with me and everybody else. A great bunch of people. Every Wednesday we're here. We've got a different subject next Wednesday. But as I say, if you want to work with it, do connect with each other on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. And I must admit, I got some really good news recently. Somebody that came on one of my events we had a session on podcasts. And one of them was actually running a podcast awards evening, and somebody else was a podcaster, and they connected, and they entered thinking nothing would happen. Anyway, they reached the what do you call it, nomination. They were so excited about it, and I thought, well, you know what, that's what happens when good people come together. So anyway, thanks again, guys. Have a lovely afternoon, and speak to you again soon.
Thanks, Gordon.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Gordon. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you all.